Every line of work has its own quirks, things they do or see that aren't normal for everyday life. I've even heard that garbage workers have made unusual discoveries. I used to work as a certified nurse's assistant, or CNA, in an in-home care agency. My job was to go into people's houses and wash them up, help them eat, and do odd jobs for them. I didn't really like that part about going into other people's homes. You never know what kind of condition you would find, and some were real slobs. I mean, most were nice and cleaned their place, or had family that helped. Though, every once in a while, you would come across something that was shocking. Anything from hoarders to downright condemnable living conditions. Let me tell you about one guy and why I am no longer CNA. It was the first and last time I went to see this man. He had just been admitted to our program. I'm not allowed to give all the details, but he had a terminal illness. My job was to go in and meet him to see what kind of services he would require. Take a look around, get a feel for what I need to do. He agreed to meet me at the door, and immediately, bad vibes washed over me. His toothless smile gave me chills, and he patted my hair when he said hello. He looked like any other old man, bald and frail, except he was really tall. Long arms that one time must have been powerful, now drooped weakly at his side. Surprisingly, he could still stand upright with how withered his legs appeared. I went in, and the smell was the first thing I noticed. What really caught my attention was that the place was spotless. I asked him if he had a cleaning person. He responded that he didn't, that he liked to do that himself. Tick-tock, tick-tock, went an old grandfather clock in the corner of the living room. Plastic covered the furniture. Deep shag carpet caught my toes with each step. The decor hadn't been updated since the 70s, it looked like. He showed me around. Some of the doors were closed. Odors were strongest around the ones that were locked. We went down a long, dark hallway. It was so dark, in fact, that I couldn't see him. I just had to keep straight and feel my way around. Out of nowhere, a bright flash blinded me, and the whirl of a Polaroid camera could be heard. We went down a long, dark hallway. It was so dark, in fact, that I couldn't see him. I just had to keep straight and feel my way around. Out of nowhere, a bright flash blinded me, and the whir of a Polaroid camera could be heard. He chuckled a bit, then told me he likes to keep pictures of all his visitors, so he won't forget them. When I finally got to his room, there were photos all over the wall of young women like me. He tried to make a joke about how popular he was, that so many beautiful girls visited him. After that, he grabbed my hand and led me to one of the locked doors. When he opened it, there was a narrow staircase that led down. The smell that wafted up was horrendous, even worse than when I first entered the house. It smelled like something had died down there. I didn't want to find out, so I told him I only cleaned the upstairs, and there was no reason for me to go down. He kept insisting and even grabbed my hand to lead me downstairs. Awkward doesn't even explain how I felt. Hairs pricked up on the back of my neck. Alarms blared in my head, but I didn't want to be rude. Sure, things were a little creepy up to that point, But he was an old, lonely man, I told myself. What harm could he do? As decrepit looking as he was, there didn't seem to be any real danger. Soon, I gave in to his persistence and went down the long, dark, narrow passage. His hand stayed on my wrist. There were no windows, nothing to give me any warning to what was in store. Blood rushed through my ears. Heart bumped wildly under my chest. Foul smells continued to assault my nose. Iron mixed with rot. It was enough to almost knock me over. Something bumped into my head. With my free hand, I reached up to grab it. A quick pull turned on an overhead light. Screams died in my throat. Bloody handprints covered the walls. Bare dirt floors had pits dug into them. Bones and skulls littered each open grave, along with dried chunks of skin and muscle. Vomit erupted from my open mouth. Tears rolled down my eyes. "This is my confession," he said to me. "There isn't much time left for me anyways. I will hang one last picture on my wall, then blow my brains out." For too long, a monster had roamed this world. I've tried to contain him, but failed. All the strength in my body was useless because my mind was weak. Regret has haunted me every day of my life. I'm sorry you had to see this. Hopefully someone out there, somewhere, will forgive me and I can rest in peace. He then grabbed a cane that had been leaning on the wall and held it up. Pop went the light above my head as he shattered it. Tinkling of glass shards sounded as they fell to the ground around me. Creaks from the wooden stairs were heard as he went quietly back up, leaving me alone in a pitch-black mess of madness. Uncontrollable sobs shook my body. I hated him then and will never stop. Why he thought it would be a good idea to show me what he had done continues to boggle my mind. Once I had collected myself, I went back up the stairs. In the top, I noticed light from his door that was left open a crack. No way was I going to check on him. Whether he lived or died was no concern of mine. By the time I reached the front door, a loud gunshot rang through the house. Numb from shock, I opened the entrance. Screams erupted in my head for me to run, but my legs could barely move. Back in my car, I just sat there and stared off at nothing. Minutes passed, then an hour. You'd think I'd call someone right away. It was difficult as thoughts and feelings poured over me. Shouts and curses burst from my lips. Finally, when nerves have calmed enough, I picked up the phone and called the police. Right after that, I called the nursing agency and quit. I will never step foot into a stranger's house again.